Hi, Francis. So I was wondering if you could talk about the significance of silence, the silence we encounter in meditation as you understand it.
Yes. There is a silence which is the absence of sounds, which is physical silence. There is a silence which is the absence of thoughts or mentations, which would be subtle silence. And there is the silence which is presence, which is transcendental silence. And because, but to call it silence is already to qualify it. The reason why it is called silence is because we first have access to this experience in the interval between mentations. Therefore, in the subtle silence. There is a hierarchy of those silences, because if we have the subtle silence, of course, since hearing is part of our phenomenal experience, it implies that there is physical silence, at least in our experience. But when there is subtle silence between two mentations, then there is access to presence. So that's why the experience of presence is sometimes seen as silence. When the mind becomes silent, presence reveals itself as peace, plenitude.
I'm sorry, peace and
plenitude.
Plenitude.
Now, this silence of the mind cannot be manufactured through a mind process, because any ongoing mind process, almost by definition, means the impossibility of the silence of the mind. The mind can become silent only through its allegiance to the source, to presence. And that which brings about this silence is in a sense, the desire for the experience of the source, that a desire that has been created and increased by a previous experience of the source. The more we experience, in other words, this silence, the more we experience presence, the more we go back to it. So, what is important is to have a clear understanding that the mind has no access to presence. As long as the mind, there is this belief that through some kind of process, presence can be experienced by the mind, meaning presence can be an objective experience, there is going to be agitation of the mind, driving towards attempting to experience presence objectively, phenomenally. So we need to have the clear understanding, very clear, that the mind will never achieve the experience of presence. That will bring the mind to subtle silence.
So we can encounter the presence that we take as silence, but this is not through the mind.
It's never through the mind. When there is in the mind the intention of presence, the intention to experience presence, this desire for presence, the flow of mentations takes a different direction. And it's a natural direction, and it is a direction that is a vanishing direction, in which the flow of thoughts and perceptions simplifies itself, in a sense, rarefies itself, naturally, effortlessly. So an example of that, but that's not the only case that we can experience, but one of that is the approach through reasoning, through the philosophical approach, if you will, in which a line of thought is taken that flows from a questioning about that which perceives consciousness. And this line of thought somehow simplifies itself. And finally, at some point, we reach the understanding that we are the background of this very thought about consciousness. And that leads to a glimpse of it. Because at that moment, the thought about consciousness ceases naturally. And the experience then is described by the mind, which was not, in fact, invited, but is described after the fact as an experience of understanding. I understood. But in fact, there was no mind in this understanding.
And when you say the mind, you mean the intellect, the mind is an abstract concept, and the definition I would give of it's like any abstract concept. It's a label that we put on a basket that contains all kinds of different fruit, right? So. In this case, the basket contains all the phenomena our human experience is comprised of. That's mine. That would be my definition, right?
And our human experience is comprised of external sense perceptions, bodily sensations, and thoughts, or images in the mind. So the mind is an abstract label that we put onto any kind of mentation. And the sum of them, of those our human experience is comprised of, and which is obviously limited. However, the other aspect of it, that which perceives, we don't know it to be limited, the consciousness part, or the reality of our human experience. There is the great mathematician and physicist Penrose, Sir Penrose. He has this interesting kind of catch-22 situation he described. It's kind of trinity. On the one hand, for a mathematician or a physicist, it seems that abstract mathematical concepts have an existence on their own, on a certain plane. In other words, that the triangle in itself, or the sphere in itself, or the number 3 in itself, or the prime numbers as such, have an existence which is independent from human mind. That, of course, human mind discovers them, and that we discover, for instance, the properties of prime numbers, but that these properties existed before they were discovered. And that the different species, quite different from human in some very distant galaxy, will also recognize the prime numbers or the number pi, for instance. And so the question is, where do they exist? And they have an existence somewhere. And in a realm, which of course Plato used to call the intellect, the realm of ideas, and which is a realm which is timeless, right? Because the number pi is independent from time. So it's a very different realm from either the subtle realm or the physical realm. So let's call it the realm of ideas. And of course there is in this realm more than mathematical ideas. Plato places it also not only the true mathematical ideas and others, but also the beautiful and the good. So we have this, Penrose says, okay, we have this realm of mathematical. And then you have the physical realm. And then we have the realm of mind, the subtle realm, the realm of thought. And there is a strange interrelation between these three realms, in the following sense, that for a physicist, there is a very strange thing that happens, that the laws of the universe are kind of subservient to mathematics. So that it seems that the realm of ideas somehow has dominion through the laws of physics over the physical realm. On the other hand, in our Western culture, it seems that the realm of thoughts, our mind, is subjected to the physicality of the body and of the brain. So the human body and the human brain is a subset, of course, of the physical universe. So it seems also that the realm of mind is subservient to the physical realm. And finally, all these concepts about mathematics and others, but appear as thought in the human mind. So it seems in turn that the realm of mathematical ideas is dependent upon the human mind, right? So we have a catch-22 in which these three realms seem to be dependent upon each other. And so, and that's where he is at, right? He presents that. And of course, there is no logical way to find a way out of this conundrum, right? But there is one, yes. If the three realms are co-created by a reality which is behind it, then the conundrum disappeared. Because their mutual interdependence is only an illusion, because in fact, they are codependent on or from the background of consciousness. And the problem originated simply from the identification of mind with consciousness. If we believe that consciousness is dependent upon mind, then we cannot go out of this puzzle where we run in a triangular cycle. But the moment consciousness, if mind is here, is removed from mind and placed in a central position, if you will, at the barycenter of this at the center of this equilateral triangle, then it is this which has dominion on the three aspects: the realm of ideas, the realm of mind, and the realm of physicality. And then the catch-22 disappears. It's just a theory. It's food for thought.
Thank you.